Good afternoon and welcome. I'm John Daly, the Interim Dean and Dean Emeritus of the Lewis Katz School of Medicine at Temple University. Investitures are a highlight on any academic calendar. Today, we're very fortunate to be able to celebrate FIVE, a wonderful event for our School of Medicine, particularly in this time of the coronavirus pandemic. I know the format of this ceremony is a bit different than normal, but that doesn't diminish at all the talent and the spirit we have here at Temple. This is a wonderful day. As you know, it's a great honor and a great responsibility to hold an endowed chair. In the world of academia, endowed chairs are a coveted and universally recognized accolade. It's an honor bestowed upon the best and the brightest in our ranks. The talented colleagues being honored today inspire students through their teaching. They advance the frontiers of knowledge through their research, and they make discoveries that change people's lives and provide outstanding clinical care. In addition to providing ongoing financial support for research and education, endowed chairs are of true strategic importance in elevating a school's academic profile and its stature as a national leader in medical education, research, and clinical care. Endowed chairs are also a time-honored way to recognize and celebrate the person for whom the chair is named. In that way, they help keep our narrative and they keep our history alive. As we move through today's ceremony, I know you will be impressed with the faculty members that we've selected to hold these endowed chairs. Each of them is a wonderful representative of the Lewis Katz School of Medicine. Temple University and Temple Health are very proud of them. We begin today's program with messages from Temple President Richard Englert and Provost Joanne Epps.
Hello, I'm Richard Englert, and I'm President of Temple University, and it is my honor to be able to have this opportunity to congratulate our honorees today. Before I congratulate our honorees, though, I want to congratulate our great Lewis Katz School of Medicine. Dean Daly, you are an outstanding leader. You are showing us all how a great medical school should move forward as we are nearing the end of our 2020. I also want to thank and congratulate the outstanding faculty, students, staff of our Lewis Katz School of Medicine. We cannot be a great university without a great School of Medicine. We cannot have a great health system without a great School of Medicine. And all of you make our Lewis Katz School of Medicine great. I want to turn now to our honorees. I want to congratulate Dr. Gary Cohen, Dr. Thomas Fekita, Dr. Enrique Hernandez, Dr. Karen Lynn, and Dr. Henry Parkman. Having an endowed chair is indeed a great honor. Only our very, very best faculty are honored by being named to an endowed chair. You make us all very, very proud of you. You make us all very, very proud of everything about the medical school that bears the name of the great Lewis Katz. Congratulations, honorees. We love you. Thank you for everything you have done on behalf of all of Temple University. And thank you especially for everything you will be doing in your new role as chair. Thank you.
Hi. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Joanne Epps. I'm the Executive Vice President and Provost here at Temple University. And I am delighted to be with you tonight virtually to congratulate our honorees on being inducted into a chaired position. It is really the culmination of a professional series of achievements of which they rightly should be very proud. It is recognizing them as scholars, as teachers, as researchers, and as leaders. In this institution that was founded in 1901 as the first coeducational and evening medical school in Pennsylvania, tonight's honorees honor that legacy with all that they continue to do. You are all great successes in academic medicine. You make us all very proud, and I am really thrilled to be able to congratulate you.
Thank you, President Englert and Provost Epps, for your thoughtful comments and congratulations. I would now like to introduce Mike Young, President and CEO of Temple University Health System. Mike joined the health system just over 2 years ago, and his leadership has been dramatic, better than most. He knows the important clinical role today's 5 honorees play within the hospital. Mr. Young.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon. It really is a pleasure to be here today to honor and thank these 5 individuals who mean so much to our health system and our medical school. It goes without saying, obviously, that each is an excellent clinician, but they're also superb leaders, educators, and mentors, of which I really appreciate, who look and provide guidance to others. Without people like them, we couldn't do what we do every day for our patients, our students, and the trainees that we serve. While endowed chairs are often associated more with academia, they are also important to the hospital. They enable us to enhance patient care through education and research, thereby creating a healthier community, which is what we strive to do every day. Endowed chairs also bring prestige to our institution, helping elevate Temple as a destination for other faculty members, researchers, and patients. It's a foundation. Investiture ceremonies like this are an opportunity to celebrate what makes Temple great, the simultaneous compilation of clinical excellence, academic achievement, and generous philanthropic support. What a powerful combination of leaders we have here today. So as our health system and medical school continue to evolve and grow, I expect that these 5 honorees will be among the many who deliver on our promise to provide world-class care right here in North Philadelphia, for greater Philadelphia and beyond. So thank you again for inviting me to today's ceremony, and congratulations to our fine honorees. You are really spectacular leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. It's really great to have you here with us today. Now let's get to the reason we're here. Our first honoree is Dr. Gary Cohen, Professor and Chair of the Department of Radiology. He is Radiologist in Chief for Temple University Health System, and now the new Herbert M. Stauffer Chair in Diagnostic Imaging. Dr. Cohen is a Temple veteran, having come here for his radiology residency and vascular and interventional radiology fellowship in the early 1990s. From the beginning, it was clear what a talented and multidimensional clinician and leader we had in Dr. Cohen. He rose through the ranks and today deservedly occupies the top post as the health system chair in radiology. Prior to being named chair of radiology, Dr. Cohen was vice chair for many years and a nationally recognized chief of vascular and interventional radiology. He also chairs the Temple Faculty Physicians Information Technology Committee, and previously he chaired the Technology Planning Committee for Temple's alliance with General Electric. Dr. Cohen leads by example, a superb interventional radiologist who I've known personally in caring for my patients. He works hard each day to improve outcomes for patients and to ensure that the training program in both diagnostic and therapeutic radiology at Temple remains at the cutting edge. The Herbert M. Stauffer Chair in Diagnostic Imaging is named after a 1939 graduate of Temple University School of Medicine. Dr. Stauffer went on to become the chair of the Department of Radiology, and he became the president of the Association of University Radiologists. Dr. Stauffer was a major contributor to the development of television stereoscopic fluoroscopy, as well as high-speed biplanar devices to study vascular flow patterns in the heart and blood vessels. The chair in his name was established in 1986. Here, with a few words about Dr. Cohen, is Dr. Amy Goldberg, the George S. Peters, MD, and Louise C. Peters Chair and Professor of Surgery at the Lewis Katz School of Medicine. Dr. Goldberg.
Dr. Daly, Mike Young, Tom Cupp, colleagues, and guests. It is such an incredible honor for me to participate in today's investiture of Dr. Gary Cohen as the Herbert M. Stauffer Chair in Diagnostic Imaging. Dr. Cohen and I began our medical careers together as medical students at Mount Sinai School of Medicine in New York City. We each came to New York from college, Gary from the Boston area, and me from Philadelphia. We certainly knew each other in medical school, but I don't recall us hanging out too much. However, I can say without a doubt, when we both matched at Temple University Hospital for our respective residencies, Gary for radiology and me for surgery, there was something so comforting seeing a familiar face as we embarked on the next part of our medical journey. After completing fellowships, we then joined the Temple faculty the very same year. Of course, I'm not going to tell you the year for fear of dating Gary. Okay, for fear of dating myself. What's important to know is that Gary and I have been on our path together, and I am grateful. It has been an absolute privilege to sit on committees together, guiding the direction of Temple University Hospital, and to care for patients side by side at all hours of the day and night. All of us know to be a successful doctor at Temple, you have to be a clinician. You have to be all in when it comes to patient care, your skill, your commitment, your heart. Dr. Gary Cohen has done just that. I don't think I could ever adequately convey the importance of an interventional radiologist to a trauma surgeon. His is the phone number we call when there are no surgical options and when we are out of all options. He is a stellar interventionalist and has built the best program in the city. It was obvious when the chair of radiology position opened, there was no better choice than Gary Cohen. He certainly could talk the talk and walk the walk. He has built an outstanding department of clinicians, educators, and researchers. What is most notable is Gary's love of Temple. He would do absolutely anything to make Temple better, and that's what drives his decision-making each and every day. I am personally grateful for Gary Cohen. Temple University Hospital is better because of Gary Cohen. And today, the Lewis Katz School of Medicine shows its appreciation by naming Dr. Gary S. Cohen the Herbert M. Stauffer Chair in Diagnostic Imaging. Thank you. Congratulations, Gary. So well deserved.
Well, thank you, Dr. Goldberg. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Gary Cohen.
That was amazing. I'm in tears, actually. Dr. Goldberg, Dean Daly, Mike Young, Tom Cupp, and the Lewis Katz School of Medicine, thank you for this amazing honor. You know, I always pictured myself a New Yorker. You just heard I came from Mount Sinai Medical School, and I believe that after my training and residency here at Temple, I would spend 1 to 2 years And I would gain experience in North Philadelphia and then hop back on the train to the city. Only it's now 30 years and this is my city. There's something to be said for those who work at Temple. A long-time struggling hospital, low on resources, and high on stress, and among the most underserved population in the U.S. It's the intimacy of Temple. It's family feel, the fact that we're all in this together. This is what gives this place its allure. While I have dedicated my life to Temple over the past 30 years, I am hardly the only one. Jerry Kreiner has been here along with me over those 3 decades and has been a great role model. Beyond showing me how to build a great department, he has been a colleague and a friend. You just heard from Amy Goldberg. Amy Goldberg has been here just as long, identically as long, though she might hate to admit it. We both came here from the same medical school in New York and have literally grown up together at Temple. A significant role model for me, I have leaned on her in both good times and dark. Yet when I look around, there are so many of the Temple family who work side by side for decades. I must also acknowledge my amazing wife, Susan, who's in the audience today, to whom I owe everything, literally. Without her taking care of all matters on the home front, I would not have been able to put in those decades-long 16-hour days knowing that our kids were carefully tucked in. Your sacrifices do not go unrecognized. We've made great progress in radiology over the past 3 years, and I intend to foster those initiatives. I see 2 invaluable components to a successful department: ensuring that we care for exceptional patients and that we take care of our exceptional faculty. In terms of patient care, I'm quite proud of acquiring Temple's first PET CT. It was only 15 years in the making. Integrating with radiology at Fox Chase will improve efficiencies, expand our network of care, and reinforce our educational mission. We're modernizing our technology by replacing archaic equipment. And we're enlisting artificial intelligence to improve interpretation and clinical workflow. In terms of supporting our faculty for professional development and wellness, we brought in a sports psychologist to improve teamwork, have invested heavily in resources for faculty development, and I've recently begun a diversity and inclusion committee. In this way, we're tackling issues from recruitment of a diverse faculty and residency program to healthcare disparities. Our commitment to education will be enhanced with our plans to expand the diagnostic residency program. We've begun a new era of clinical research as I have recently appointed a vice chair of research and developed a robust research committee. Herb Stauffer, as you heard, was also a product of Temple. And not unlike Amy Goldberg, Jerry Kreiner, me, and so many in the Temple family, has come to know the magical place that is Temple. For Temple is special. And in this city with so many remarkable medical centers, there is no place that I would rather be than living in the footsteps of Herbert Stauffer here at Temple. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cohen. Our next honoree is Dr. Thomas Fekita, our new Thomas M. Durant Chair in Medicine. Dr. Fekita has been Chair of Medicine just over 2 years now, but the talent and leadership qualities of this longtime faculty member and Chief of the Section of Infectious Diseases has always been clear. In short, Dr. Fekita is a Temple icon. During his 36 years at Temple, Dr. Fekita has earned respect as an excellent clinician, leader, and educator. That last title, educator, is where he has perhaps made his greatest impact. The list of teaching awards he has garnered includes the Limbach Award, the Golden Apple Teaching Award, the Russell and Paul Moses Teaching Award, the Outstanding Senior Educator Award, and the Temple Great Teacher Award. His impact on future physicians over the decades is incalculable. As a physician, one can treat a single patient at a time, but as a teacher, your ability to care for others increases a millionfold. Widely recognized in his field, Dr. Fekite is a master of the American College of Physicians and a fellow of the Infectious Diseases Society of America, where he serves as chair of the Society's foundation. He is also chair of the Board of Trustees of the College of Physicians of Philadelphia. A lover of the arts and literature and a patron of the Philadelphia Orchestra, Dr. Fekite has been referred to as a true Renaissance man. We are fortunate indeed to have him. The Thomas M. Durant Chair in Medicine is named after a former chair of medicine here at Temple. He joined the faculty in 1936, achieved the rank of full professor in 1946, and was named chair in 1956. Dr. Durant was a physician with deep compassion for his patients and an educator who believed that his students must first learn the importance of integrity in medicine. He served in various leadership roles throughout his career, including president of the American College of Physicians. The chair in his name was established in 1986. Here to share some thoughts about Dr. Fekite is Dr. Bennett Lauber, Professor Emeritus and former Section Chief of Infectious Disease at Temple from 1983 to 2006.
Hello, I'm Bennett Lauber. One of the great honors of my professional life was being named the first recipient of the Thomas M. Durant Chair in Medicine. And one of the smartest things I ever did in my professional life was to recruit Tom Fekita to Temple. And one of the great joys of my professional life has been watching Tom evolve into one of the finest clinician, educators, scholars anywhere, and to see him recognized and admired as a national leader in infectious diseases. And today I join in this ceremony to honor Tom and to experience the joy of seeing Tom Fekita named the Thomas M. Durant Professor of Medicine. Tom, congratulations on this great honor that you so very much deserve.
I'd now like to introduce to you Dr. Thomas Fekita. Please welcome him. Tom?
Thank you, Dean. Good afternoon. Thank you all very much. Dr. Lorber, thank you for years of inspiration. And everyone in the audience, thank you for your support and your love. Thomas M. Durant was born in 1905, just 4 years after the founding of our medical school. Although Temple served as a school that was open on nights and weekends, after the Flexner Report of 1910, Temple's ambitions to become a major medical institution began to take form. By 1936, when Dr. Durant joined the Temple faculty, the medical school had built a sturdy neoclassical building on Broad in Ontario, which was torn down a few years ago. And by the post-war year of 1956, when Dr. Durant became chair of medicine here, Temple University and the School of Medicine were already on the map as a major Philadelphia institution. My journey to Temple began in 1984 when I was invited by Dr. Lorber to have a casual visit to see for myself whether this place and I could be a match. I must tell you, the Temple did not look magnificent. The current Rock Pavilion was just a steel shell. The hospital beds were in the old Samaritan Hospital from the 1920s, and the Parkinson Pavilion, which was brand new when Dr. Durant became chair. Dr. Lorber was an amazing host and the most charismatic doctor I'd ever met. Despite the dilapidated facilities, in the course of a single day, I decided that I would, like Dr. Durant, hitch my start at Temple. Dr. Lorber was named the first Thomas Durant Professor of Medicine, and he set an incredibly high standard for his successors. A great deal has changed in medicine in the last 32 years, and at least half of that change has come since March of this year. There's no better time to reflect on how our mentors and leaders prepared us to face unknown challenges such as COVID-19. I feel this with even greater urgency because my training in infectious diseases has been put to the test by this wily virus. Even though our celebration is muted and masked, all of us are proud to be here, proud to be Temple, and proud to be able to help even when the path forward is unclear and the task keeps evolving. As Thomas Durant Professor of Medicine, I promise to maintain the proud tradition of scholarship and compassion that were demonstrated so beautifully both by Dr. Durant and Dr. Lorber. I promise to strive to be worthy of this recognition, to attract and retain the best students and doctors to keep Temple vibrant and essential long into the future. I want to thank everybody one more time. It's an honor to be here. My fellow honorees, it's been great, and thank you for everything. Dr. Daly.
Thank you, Tom. Our next honoree is Dr. Enrique Hernandez, now the J. Robert Willson Chair in Obstetrics and Gynecology. He's a noted gynecologic oncologist. Dr. Hernandez works tirelessly to improve the outcomes of women with gynecologic malignancies. He's a superb clinician, a highly skilled surgeon, and a strong leader. In 1998, Dr. Hernandez joined Temple as Director of Gynecologic Oncology and the Director of the Residency Program in OBGYN. He served as the chair of the department since 2002 and held the Abraham Roth Endowed Chair in Preventive Medicine from 2002 until this year. During that time, he earned national recognition for his scholarship, for his education, and his leadership. Dr. Hernandez is a fellow of the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, the American Gynecological and Obstetrical Society, and the American College of Surgeons, where he serves on its board of regents. Among his numerous honors is the Philadelphia County Medical Society's Crystal Award for service to the society. The J. Robert Willson Chair in Obstetrics and Gynecology is named after a longtime faculty member and a chair of the department, a nationally known leader in the field. Dr. Willson was an inspiring and dedicated teacher and a beloved mentor to generations of OBGYN residents at Temple. He served as president of the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, and he authored nationally known texts in that discipline. The chair in his name was established in 1986. Here to offer a few words about Dr. Hernandez is Dr. Karen Houck, Professor of Obstetrics, Gynecology, and Reproductive Sciences, and Director of the Division of Gynecologic Oncology at Temple.
Dr. Willson was born and trained in Michigan. He practiced for several years at Chicago Lying In before coming to Temple in 1947, where he served as chairman until 1963. Today I have the privilege and the pleasure of introducing Dr. Enrique Hernandez as he is invested into the J. Robert Willson Chair. Admittedly, I've struggled with how to capture a 19-year career as chairman in just a few minutes. Let's look at his bio sketch, which says he's the Abraham Roth Chair. No, that's not right. Where he's the Director of Gynecologic Oncology. No, that's me. I trained a tripler in Johns Hopkins. Oh my goodness, if you do not know that, it is only because you have never met the man. This is not going to be helpful. Okay, let's try this. He came to Temple in 1998 as Professor of Obstetrics, Gynecology, and Reproductive Sciences, Professor of Pathology, and the Director of the Division of Gynecologic Oncology. Oh yeah, and the Director of the Residency Program. In 2002, he became the Abraham Roth Professor and Chairman of the Department of Obstetrics, Gynecology, and Reproductive Sciences, where he has served for 19 years. It's difficult to sum up Just how many people have been impacted by his leadership? The faculty, the residents, the staff. As an educator, he shares his superb surgical skills. His lectures, which are on a myriad of topics, are always compelling and occasionally still in Kodachrome. He is a man of few words, but each one is correct. Always. He's always right. It's so admirable. He runs marathons, he plays the guitar, he opens his home to his colleagues and residents. Residents, they're really the key to the story. In his 19 years as chairman, he's trained 19 by 5, a lot of residents. You can do the math. And now with our collaboration with Fox Chase, he'll be training the next generation of gynecologic oncologists. I've used up my 2 minutes and haven't touched on the depth of his career. There simply isn't enough time. So I asked the residents to help me give a representation of how many lives he's touched in video format. They sent pictures of the man they see as their mentor, memories from their residency, which many described as the best time of their life, pictures from their weddings, their retreats, heck, even from protests. They sent pictures that were old, pictures that are new, pictures from the babies that they've delivered, from the babies that they've had, from the babies they're waiting on, pictures of their family, and pictures from their travels, and some apparently from wherever they happened to be sitting when they got the request. They are a brief representation of not just all the lives that he's touched, but all the lives he'll touch through them as they train the next generation, as they pass on his lessons in competence, collegiality, compassion, and inexplicably that Jorgensen's scissors only cut in one direction. Shout out to the people who make you look good. I am not a woman of few words, and they are not always right. But they are today when I say congratulations on a well-deserved honor to my partner, my friend, my chairman, Enrique Hernandez.
Thank you, Karen. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Enrique Hernandez.
Let me see how I can follow that. First, I want to congratulate my friends and colleagues that are being honored today with an endowed chair. I want to thank Dr. Daly for his friendship and support for so many years, during his first tenure as dean and now as an interim dean. He made it possible for me to be the first J. Robert Willson professor at Temple. Even though the chair was established many years ago, and that's actually was part of my recruitment package in 1998, it wasn't really funded until recently. So as some of you know, I previously held the Abraham Roth chair for my work in cervical cancer prevention and early detection. And I probably held that chair for almost 2 decades. But the Willson chair has a special significance to me because of whom Dr. Willson was, an icon in OBGYN. It is an honor to be named the Willson Professor. Dr. Daly mentioned, Dr. Willson was the chair of our department for over a decade, from 1947 to 1963. He went on to chair the Department of OBGYN at the University of Michigan and led the department from 1964 to 1978 and stayed on the faculty until his retirement in 1983. And one time or another, he was the president of all the major national OBGYN societies that included the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, the Association of Professors of Obstetrics and Gynecology, the American Gynecologic and Obstetrical Society. Many of the faculty that served under him and many of those that he trained went on to leadership positions in academic medicine. I thank my wife, Carla, who has a strong connection to Temple. She was born at Temple. Her mother was a Temple maid nurse that met her husband a Temple undergrad here at Temple Hospital. I thank my wife for her support and tolerance. She kindly accepts my long work hours, although she points out that we never take a real vacation. I am grateful for the life and time we share, and I promise we will take a real vacation soon. Nancy Fox, who is here, our senior administrator, and my right hand. We have worked together for 2 decades. We have grown the department, more than doubling the size of our faculty, or the number of our faculty, and consistently meeting our budget targets. The successes our department has had are due in great part for Nancy's work. Dr. Haug, who you heard from, has been a friend and an incredible practice partner. She's a superb surgeon who is always available to help others. She's a compassionate and caring physician that is loved by her patients. She always has my back, and I'm grateful. Paraphrasing Isaac Newton, I am here today because I stand on the shoulders of giants. I can go on for hours thanking all the people that have made my journey possible. Many are not longer with us, but I'll be remiss if I don't recognize the incredible faculty and staff, past and present, of our department. They make my work easy, especially my assistant, Nancy Farney. Here in our department at Temple, we have a highly sought-after OBGYN residency program. Thanks to our program director and associate department chair, Dr. Gironis, we have effective and efficient vice chairs and division directors, Dr. Diaz, Dr. Rose, Dr. Mula, Dr. Glowacki, Dr. Haug. I'm thankful for all they do for the department and the school. Again, it is an honor and privilege to be appointed a Willson professor, and I am indebted to so many that made it possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hernandez. Our next honoree is Dr. Karen Lynn, the Abraham Roth Endowed Chair in Preventive Medicine. Dr. Lynn is Professor of Clinical Medicine and the Section Chief of General Internal Medicine at Temple, and she has served as Director of the Section's Acupuncture Program since 2010. Previously, she was Director of our Integrative Medicine Education Program. Dr. Lynn is a superb clinician and educator who excels in teaching medical and PA students, residents, and fellows. She's been instrumental in developing the pre-clerkship curriculum, including clinical reasoning conferences and the Transition to Medicine program. She is extraordinarily well-liked and highly respected by her colleagues, medical students, and others who consistently comment on her professionalism, her organization, and most important, her approachability. Much of her recent work in preventive medicine has focused on how to incorporate integrative therapies into primary care for the underserved and for supporting Temple's primary care efforts of trauma-informed care that anticipates, acknowledges, and responds to the effects of trauma on patients' lives and on their health. Dr. Lynn completed her internal medicine residency at Temple University Hospital, and she joined the faculty in 2005. She is a fellow of the American College of Physicians and of the American Academy of Medical Acupuncture. In addition to being a diplomat of the American Board of Integrative Holistic Medicine. The Abraham Roth Chair in Preventive Medicine was established and named in 1988 by Edith Roth in honor of her husband. The chair launched a new interdisciplinary effort in preventive medicine at Temple. Here to share some thoughts about Dr. Lynn is Dr. Larry Kaplan, my doctor, who is also Professor of Medicine and Associate Dean of Interprofessional Education at Temple. Dr. Kaplan.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Larry Kaplan. I'm extremely proud and honored to be presenting Dr. Karen Lynn at the investiture of her being named the Abraham Roth Chair in Preventive Medicine. So where do I begin? I want to take you back to the spring of 1998. I was running the physical diagnosis course at Robert Wood Johnson Medical School, Cooper Hospital, and second-year students were bused from Piscataway to Camden on Thursdays for physical diagnosis. I met Dr. Lynn along with other Robert Wood Johnson medical students, including one, Brandon Palermo, during that time. After time off to complete her MPH, Karen Lynn, along with student Dr. Palermo, began their clinical clerkships at Cooper. I was the medicine clerkship director and got to know her well. She was an exceptional student. Ultimately, she decided on a career in medicine, and as the clerkship director, I discussed medicine programs with students, as well wrote the department letters. She said she wanted a Cooper-like program in Philly, and apparently I said, when Cooper students grow up, they go to Temple. Ultimately, she mastered at Temple, ultimately married Brandon, and started her residency in 2001. In September of 2002, I followed her to Temple as the general medicine section chief. Brandon, on the other hand, couldn't decide on medicine versus public health and briefly detoured to Jefferson by way of Williams and Sonoma until he saw the light and transferred to Temple to complete his residency and ID fellowship. Dr. Lynn was an exceptional resident who demonstrated superb clinical, educational, and leadership skills and was selected as an IM chief resident. In 2005, I hired her as a faculty member in general medicine. Since that time, I watched her grow as a clinician, educator, and leader, and have seen her become an amazing colleague as well as friend. Along the way, Karen and Brandon had a few extracurricular activities. Zeta was born in 2007, joined by Juliet in 2010, and recently a third child, a pandemic dog named Ginger. Since joining Temple, Dr. Lynn has gained new expertise in acupuncture and been recognized as a top doc. She's won numerous teaching awards, including the Russell and Pearl Moses Memorial Teaching Award at Temple Hospital and the LKSOM Excellence in Education Award this past year. Some words from one of her letter writers included, quote, Karen Lynn has become the teacher's teacher, combining clinical educational expertise with content expertise and gentle persuasiveness to truly make the LKSOM curriculum better, end quote. Along the way, she's been promoted to associate professor in 2011, professor in 2018, and now the Abraham Roth Chair in Preventive Medicine. And now she's also my section chief. My former student is now my boss, and deservedly so. How cool is that? Talk about #TempleMade. I am extremely proud to call her a colleague and friend, and so deserving of this honor today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kaplan. Now please join me in welcoming Dr. Karen Lynn to the podium. Karen.
Thank you, Dean Daly, for your kind words and for hosting a wonderful celebration today. And thank you to Dr. Kaplan for the introduction and for the many years of teaching, mentorship, and friendship, and of course for the opportunity to embarrass my husband as well. I'm so honored and humbled to be named the Abraham Roth Chair of Preventive Medicine at the Lewis Katz School of Medicine. This chair was established in 1988 by Edith Roth in honor of her husband, Dr. Abraham Roth. This generous endowment will support endeavors aligned with the mission of promoting health and wellness, preventing disease, and averting complications after disease onset, with a focus on the most vulnerable and marginalized communities, which Temple proudly serves. 2020 has been an unprecedented historic year, and one that has highlighted the tremendous impact of social disparities and systemic racism on health status and outcomes. As a primary care physician who also practices medical acupuncture, I'm witness to the innumerable barriers and differential access to care that our patients face. Our North Philadelphia patient population is disproportionately affected by physical and emotional traumas, which in turn result in significantly increased risks for physical and mental medical comorbidities. Last year, Temple Internal Medicine Associates, our adult primary care practice, identified establishing a trauma-informed practice as a priority. We are so fortunate that here at Temple, we have experts in trauma-informed care within our own section of general internal medicine and at the Center for Urban Bioethics. Trauma-informed care promotes a culture of safety, empowerment, and healing. It recognizes the widespread impact of trauma on health for patients, families, and staff, and identifies paths for recovery. In establishing a trauma-informed and healing environment, it is really essential to recognize and address the biases, stereotypes, and historical traumas that our patients face every day. We aim to continue ongoing trauma sensitivity training for all of our staff and clinicians. And in addition, we aspire to expand the interdisciplinary services that are necessary to provide effective trauma-informed care in the primary care setting and into the telemedicine sphere. In order to ensure sustainable changes, we will also integrate trauma-informed practices into our policies and procedures. And additionally, our internal medicine residency plans to deepen our connections with our North Philadelphia neighbors in community endeavors and partnerships. With education, training, and advocacy, we intend to create safe physical, social, and emotional spaces that promote improved health outcomes and a healing environment for patients, staff, and clinicians alike. This transformation to trauma-informed clinical practice would serve as a role model for our Temple Health system and beyond, and would serve as a great honor to the legacy and the gift of this endowed Abraham Chair in Preventative Medicine. One of the wellness practices that builds resiliency is gratitude, and I have much to be grateful today. I would like to thank all the amazing faculty, staff, residents, and students that I've worked with and learned from over the past 20 years here at Temple. Your tireless dedication to our service mission has truly been inspirational. And my deepest heartfelt thanks to my incredible mentors and colleagues, too innumerable to mention here, who have supported and championed me throughout my journey in medicine and in life. A tremendous thank you to my wonderful family, to my parents, Wayne and Chen Lin, who emigrated to the States from Taiwan and raised me and my brother, Ken, with the core values of hard work, integrity, and compassion. To my husband, Brandon, who encourages me to push the boundaries of the ordinary, to believe that the impossible is possible, and who has always been my biggest he for she advocate. And to my daughters, Zeta and Juliet, who show me every day how to live life wholeheartedly with generosity, humor, kindness, and with a ferocity for what is right and just. And lastly, I extend my utmost gratitude to the Roth Family Foundation. I am so extraordinarily privileged to have trained and built my career here. I am Temple-made, and it is an immense honor to serve as the Abraham Roth Endowed Chair and to promote preventative health at Lewis Katz School of Medicine, Greater Philadelphia, and beyond. And thank you so much for this honor.
Thank you, Dr. Lin. Our final honoree is Dr. Henry Parkman, the Stanley H. Lorber Chair in Gastroenterology. He is also Vice Chair of Research in the Department of Medicine, and he is Director of the hospital's Clinical Gastrointestinal Motility Laboratory. A member of the medical school's faculty since 1990, Dr. Parkman is well known as an outstanding physician scientist who has made major contributions through his research into gastric paresis. This research, combined with his great clinical skills, has helped thousands of patients who have dysfunctional gastric motility. Dr. Parkman is a high-energy individual who is always working on multiple projects. Research and education are two of his passions. Over his career at Temple, he has supervised the training of large numbers of postdoctoral fellows, residents, medical students, and faculty members. He served on the IRB when I was chair and always had wonderful, thoughtful comments and reviews. In 2020, he was awarded the Neurogastroenterologic and Motility Research Mentor Award by the American Gastroenterological Association. The Stanley H. Lorber Chair in Gastroenterology was established in 1986, and it honors a longtime Temple faculty member who who served as Chief of Gastroenterology for 25 years. Dr. Lorber's research produced important contributions to the understanding of gastrointestinal physiology. Dr. Lorber was a great friend of mine, an individual who at times when I would visit him in his home in Florida, he and I would golf together. At an older age, he had a flag on his golf cart, which allowed him and me to drive nearly to the green. He was a wonderful man. Here to share some thoughts about Dr. Parkman is Dr. Robert Fisher, Professor Emeritus and former Section Chief of Gastroenterology at Temple. Dr. Fisher.
It's my privilege to name Henry Parkman as the third recipient of the Stanley Lorber Chair in Gastroenterology. Let me say a few words about Dr. Lorber. He's a Philadelphian who was educated at the University of Pennsylvania, where he did his undergraduate work, his medical school, his internship residency, and gastroenterology fellowship. Stan was recruited to Temple University Hospital by Dr. Harry Shea. After 2 years, he became chief of the gastroenterology section. He remained in that position for the next 30 years. Stan was interested in sports. He was a team physician for the Philadelphia Warriors and later the Philadelphia 76ers. He also was an ardent golfer. In college, he played football and varsity lacrosse. Let me now turn to Henry Parkman. His educational background is excellent. He went to undergrad at Harvard University, majoring in chemistry and physics. From there, he went to Case Western Reserve School of Medicine. From there, he went on to house staff training in Baltimore at Johns Hopkins University. In Baltimore, he met his wife-to-be, Martha Casilli. They have 3 daughters and 3 granddaughters. He completed a gastroenterology fellowship at the Hospital of the University of Pennsylvania before traveling to Rochester, Minnesota at the Mayo Clinic for a 2-year motility fellowship with Joe Krzyzewski. At Temple, Henry has carried on our motility tradition. He's a triple hitter. His practice is very busy with full schedules to evaluate patients who are referred from the East Coast, often throughout the country. His endoscopy schedule, procedure schedule, is always full. As an educator, he not only lectures to students in the gastroenterology course, the pharmacology course, and the physiology course, he's invited throughout the country to give lectures at many medical schools and to lecture at many medical societies. During Henry's time at Temple, he has conducted a 1-year motility fellowship. To date, 33 young gastroenterologists have completed this 1-year motility program. Henry's an avid researcher. He's performed funded research from the time he arrived at Temple. Initially, his research was funded by the pharmaceutical industry, also by medical societies such as the American Gastroenterologic Association, the American College of Gastroenterology, the American Motility Society. He's also had continuous funding from the NIH for the past 15 years. Henry's research has resulted in 231 peer-reviewed articles in the literature. He's had 71 topic reviews. He's published 66 chapters in books. In addition, he's participated in the editorial function for 15 other publications. To summarize, again, it's with great pride that I name Henry Parkman as the third Stanley Lorber Chair in Gastroenterology. Congratulations, Henry.
Thank you, Dr. Fisher. It is now my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Henry Parkman. Henry?
Thank you for the kind words, Dean Daly and Robert Fisher. Of course, you might get a different aspect if you talk to my wife, Martha Cassidy Parkman, who I'm so honored to have come into this presentation. It's with great pleasure that I accept the Stanley Lorber Research fund and chair in gastroenterology at this Lewis Katz School of Medicine. Well, how on earth did I get here, receiving this chair in gastroenterology? I look back on my career, and it's from hard work, a bit of luck, but also the many mentors I've had that have helped me along the way. Let me explain. At my medical school at Case Western Reserve, I was termed a broken arrow as I skipped a year between college and medical school. It's not because I wanted to skip a year. I was put on the wait list program initially. And then I got a call from the admissions department. I was accepted, not for this coming year, but I had to take a year off for the next year, as they often did. I spent my year working in a research lab with Dr. Max Miller studying the nephrology aspects of diabetes mellitus. I also dabbled in a genetics center measuring iron levels in liver biopsies in patients with hemochromatosis. Yes, I did my my residency training at Johns Hopkins, and I was never quite sure if the reason I got in there was when I was at my interview, I found out that the head of medicine, Victor McCusick, grew up in a small little town in Maine called Parkman, Maine. During my GI fellowship, I did my research with James Reynolds. This was at University of Pennsylvania. He had done his research under Dr. Sid Cohen. And it was Sid Cohen, when he was head of medicine here at Temple, was the one that got me to come here. I viewed Jim Reynolds as my mentor during my GI fellowship, and Dr. Sid Cohen as my grandfather mentor in research. It was Jim Reynolds that thought I should proceed with further training, and I was able to secure a research fellowship at Mayo Clinic under the auspices of Dr. Joseph Szewski, who was head of GI physiology. I actually did no clinical work there, and I went to one clinical conference the whole time because I was involved in a basic science research lab, and we were judged by how many experiments we did. When I was looking around for positions, I had several interviews, but the one place that gave me a great opportunity was here at Temple University. We had Sid Cohen there, we had Robert Fisher there at that time. These were two people in the area of GI motility, the area that I wanted to go into. I also started working in the laboratory of Dr. James Ryan in the physiology department. At that time, I didn't even have an office. I had a laboratory where I worked, and I kept my books there. And I came over to see patients, and I actually used Dr. Cohen's office part-time. After a while, Dr. Fisher one evening or one afternoon called me into his office. He offered me a Diet Coke. I knew I was in trouble then. That was a signal, was he wanted to talk about something that I might not like. But I was in the clinical department, a clinical section, and he felt I needed a clinical nuance to my career. And so he made me in charge of the GI motility lab, something that he had been in charge of. So I took over the GI motility lab under the auspices of Dr. Fisher. He was very keen on making sure I knew what I was doing, not so much in interpreting the studies, but making sure I billed correctly. And I still remember the numbers, 787.1 for heartburn and 786.5 for chest pain. During my years at Temple, I did have a chance to meet Dr. Stanley Lorber, as he would come up once a year from his house in Florida. Now, I was impressed, actually, the first time he met me. He knew who I was and actually what I was doing my research on. After about 5 years working in the physiology section in looking at gallbladder motility and doing my clinical aspects in gastroparesis and esophageal motor disorders, I was becoming schizophrenic a little bit, looking at the basic science literature, looking at the clinical research in a totally different area. So then I decided to try to harmonize my work and research into the area of GI motility, specifically gastroparesis. That's when I started collaborating with Dr. Alan Maurer in the nuclear medicine department and he and I are still working together on an NIH grant trying to help better characterize the evaluation of gastric motility scintigraphically. Needless to say, the funding for the research and protected time for my research from the NIH was very valuable. I was lucky to have an initial training grant at University of Pennsylvania, then Mayo Clinic, then a career development award that allowed me to work in the physiology department, a mid-career patient-oriented research award for 10 years, and now, luckily, for the last 15 years, and hopefully with a little knock on wood, another 5 years working in the gastroparesis clinical research consortium. Well, as I've tried to outline, I've had many mentors that have helped me tremendously. Now, what's important for me to do with the Stanley Lorber Chair in Research Foundation? It's time to switch positions. For me, to switch from the mentee to the mentor. I've been helping some other people in the past. My fellow attendings I've tried to help, including Michael Smith, Ron Shea, Zubair Malik. As Dr. Fisher said, we're also lucky to have a GI Motility Fellow each year to help train in our area, to hopefully go into our area subsequently when they become a gastroenterologist. We also have a research conference every Monday afternoon in our GI conference room where medical students, residents, and GI fellows all come together to discuss their research projects. These are now done by Zoom lectures, which actually gives more participation because people from different areas can chime in. And we get people from Boston who trained here previously or are still working on projects to come in. Each person is given their own project, and they report at the research conference the progress on their project, with the aim for each person to be able to submit an abstract to national meeting and eventually for a manuscript. These help me, but more importantly, I believe they help the individuals in their career. I've tried to outline a bit about the hard work, but also the luck, and also the mentors that have helped me tremendously. Dr. Daly, thanks a lot for picking me for the Lorber Chair in Gastroenterology. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. This concludes our ceremony. Thank you to all who have joined us today. Once again, I offer my sincere congratulations to each of our 5 investees. Your talent, passion, and dedication to Temple is truly our greatest resource. Thank you again.